What is happening, internet? IdlePrep is back here with another video. You know, I'm already in like my MagFest gear. I don't know why, but this is not about MagFest actually. So, if you know me, or if you remember my welcome back video from November, I had the opportunity to write and produce a song for Supernova 2025. So for those who don't know what Supernova 2025 is, basically it's a Super Smash Bros. Major tournament held every year in Chantilly, Virginia, I believe, almost every year. Formerly underneath the name of Super Smash Con, but they changed their name to Supernova as of 2024. So I was fortunately had the opportunity to write a hype song for Supernova 2025 for Melee Top 8. We're going to break it down, what my inspirations are, we're going to break down the lyrics, break down production, we're going to break down everything. So stay tuned, and we're going to go from there. So let's talk about inspirations first. So back in like the early 2000s, like late 90s-ish in the FGZ scene, there was one game. Obviously, this game I didn't play during the time when it was around because I was already a little baby, and I didn't know what fighting games are. I was just I'm a wee little guy, just a wee little guy. Anyways, so Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, Fight for the Future. First thing when you open it, bam! Absolute banger of a character select screen.
Welcome to the world of Street Fighter 3. Prepare for battle.
I actually did a cover for this for Beats for the Hideout back in January 2024, our very first house band set. Definitely a big influential like song in video game music in my field, or just like my bubble in general, because like, you know, hip-hop has been surrounded with my entire life growing up as a kid here in New York, and especially being in New York, which is the birth of hip-hop, which was like over 50 years ago. So basically that was a big influence for this song. So outside of video game music, I wanted to like recreate something that you would normally hear at like the Evolution tournaments, or EVO for short, in the EVO like hype videos, like mostly for Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. There's like a lot I can mention, which is like pretty freaking cool, which were my inspirations for writing this song. But so basically I wanted to recreate more or less the overall 1990s golden age hip-hop sound. So like some FFOs, just to name off the top of my head: Wu-Tang Clan, A Tribe Called Quest, Diggable Planets. But most of my lyricism, you can tell like the way that I project the timbre of my voice when I rap is very Wu-Tang adjacent. I remember this interview by Jay Pettigate of Mind Force, a hardcore band, when he like sings his songs for Mind Force. One Wu-Tang Clan member, which we share a very similar thing. We share the similarities to almost like Raekwon. But for my sake, when I'm like listening back to the track, I'm a little bit more of like that Ghostface Killah type when I project my voice out. And I guess other influential like artists we have is Nujabes, rest in peace, Shin2 as well. A lot of influences from like the 90s hip-hop scene and also the J hip-hop scene as well. So less about influences, let's go like more deeper into the production of the song. So basically, obviously, you got your boom bap drums. And for some reason, when I wanted to start this song, when I was talking over to the guys over at Gen Game who brought me onto this project, shout out Gen Game, by the way, New York based and everything. But anyways, so I kind of wanted to start like a hype song. Obviously, it's a hype song for top 8. It's like, you know, this is like the final part of the tournament for Melee, so you want everyone hyped. So basically, I started with like this like little like synth drone you hear in the very beginning of the song, and I brought the drums in basically, and have like the A section of the song, which I did in C minor, which I will get to in just a minute. And I had this like basic chord progression in this song on a keyboard.
Armada is your melee champion. Aatrox is a different beast.
Q-Fat with the trio of their own.
Oh my goodness. Zane said, I am #1 in the world for a reason.
Melee sick.
Let's go.
The demo version of the bass, I had my buddy Sage re-record the bass. A little bit of a groovy bass for the beginning part, like, and then before we get into the main verse, I wanted something very exultant, very symphonic, very symphosia type. So I got some mini brass instruments over on Logic Pro, and just like having like this like little like ascending section before the first verse. And then in the video, you don't hear me say the little like pre-hype thing, because in the video you hear Zane saying
Melee sick.
which is definitely better than the intro to my thing. So in the streaming version of Get Them CRTs, I say from New York all the way down to the DMV, let's go. Just giving an ode to where I'm from and where Supernova during the time was happening that year, essentially. So because obviously it's held every year in the DMV area, more particularly in Virginia. So, and then basically after production for the song, basically it's just bass and the drums, basically like a little breakdown, just to like, you know, tear down the sections bit by bit and just slowly building it up step by step in the first verse. And then after that, basically all the instruments besides the horns come back in, and basically I added a little sneaky little motif in the very end of the first verse for CRTs. So if you take a listen to the Super Smash Bros. Melee opening, you have that one section, I think that's like the B section in like somewhere around the minute mark. So I added a little bit of that motif in the Melee opening, but it's a little bit fast, but it's very deep down in the mix itself. Also mixed by my buddy Sage over at Gen Game as well. But if you put your headphones in, you will hear that little motif on the strings. I know, this was a very last minute thing because since it is a Smash Brothers tournament, I wanted to still be, you know, true to like the VGM of Smash IP itself, essentially, because it's a nice little lay motif that I added as like a little like gotcha. Hey, if you listen that hard enough. But moving on forward, and that's pretty much like, you know, the whole production of the song. So we're gonna move on forward to the lyrics of the song. I'm just pulling up my phone, and then we're gonna put like the lyrics somewhere over here or over here. I'm not entirely sure. We're just gonna read basically the lyrics, like basically breaking it down, essentially. So let's go. So basically how we started it is, this is the top 8. This is where you finna lock in, toe to toe. This is when you gotta win. No false move, kid. That be disaster. Going on, and the day after. So basically, where I got that second line from, the no false move, kid. That be disaster. Going on, and the day after. So remember when I said something about Street Fighter 3's character select screen? If you listen to the actual, not the track version that you normally do when you select your character in Street Fighter 3. If you listen to the whole version, I believe from what I remember, it's one false move, kid, that be disaster. I beat you endless and continue the day after. So I kind of like altered it a little bit Not necessarily like too much, but it's a little bit of that originality in terms of that. And then obviously the first two lines of the verse, basically, you know, getting that motif. This is the top 8. This is the creme de la creme. You gotta lock in in order to win, essentially. So that's like the first like part of the verse. Then let's just keep on moving on forward. One-on-one kid, ain't no wombo combo. Got my hands up screaming like that ain't Falco. Gotta keep going, always game over. Back from the brink, don't lose your composure. So basically, I wanted to do a little funny here for the Smash community, MLG community as well. Shout out to MLG gang. So if you remember that one video.
Smash. Happy feet, wombo combo. That ain't Falco. That ain't Falco.
Yep, that video. Wombo combo. That ain't Falco. Because that was like from a 2-on-2 Smash tournament. And then obviously became the meme, what it known as Wombo combo. But obviously since this is a 1-on-1 melee tournament, you know, gotta keep the hype going. Gotta keep the hype going. I know it's a very cringe line, but like it's just gotta keep the hype going essentially. And also the last part for that. Gotta keep going or it's game over, obviously, because, you know, it's win or lose, win or die, basically. Back from the brink, don't lose your composure. Back from the brink is a little tech move in Melee in the tournament. I guess basically if you fall off the stage and you're like very low on the stage and basically you come back off the stage, basically back from the brink. I need to like literally do some research on that. But yeah, back for the brink, wanted to do a little bit more reference to, like, you know, like some like melee techs, like, you know, the hitbox in, like, you know, most fighting games, like a little bit more technical, like that part of the verse that I did. Now with this part of the verse, actually, this is my favorite part that I wrote, because this was me trying to do it all in one breath for this part, but we're not gonna do it here. It's just me. We're just breaking down the song. Defend as you go on, better watch your hitbox, lose your focus, or gonna be a 4-stock, legendary run, get it on like DK, better fight, or don't run away. So basically, this was a very nerdy part of the verse itself as well, besides the wombo combo part of the verse. So defend as you go on, better watch your hitbox. You know, it's basically, you know, the defensive side of when you play melee one-on-ones. So, like, you know, better watch, like, your opponent, like, seeing where they're hitting and, like, where to shield and everything, you know, the competitive part of Smash, essentially. Lose your focus, are going to be a 4-stock. So, if you don't know what a 4-stock is, basically is, like, when you play a set and you basically clean sweep them. Like, you 4-stock them and you don't lose any stocks during that set of the match, essentially. So basically consider it like, you know, like a sweep, like consider it in, like, you know, playoff sports, essentially. So basically it's like a sweep, essentially. But one of my favorite parts of the verse is legendary run, get it on like DK. So this is a little bit more of Smash lore, like Supernova lore in general. Basically, Junebug is a DK player from Supernova 2024, and he had a really great run throughout all of the Melee tournament itself. So wanted to give shout out to that in terms for, you know, just talking about enjoying the history of Supernova SmashCon in general. So that's what I want to put that verse, you know, just to give ode to Junebug. Shout out Junebug if you're watching this. Much love to you. And better fight or don't run away. Basically, it's that fight or flight, you know, type mechanics. Like, you know, when you're playing buddy game tournaments, like, I didn't want to say button mash or anything like that, because, like, I felt like that was a little bit corny, but I digress about that. But it's just like, you know, fight or flight, because this is like a big moment for, like, the final parts of this tournament. So we're gonna move on to like the very final verse, the final line of the verse before we hit the chorus. This one was a little bit, if I'm being honest with you guys, this was a little bit like, I want to say rushed, more say, I do admit, but it was just, you know, a transitionary part of the verse to the chorus. I admit. Don't be like me, kids. Anyways. Hit you with kicks after a wave dash. Plan your moves right or you're gonna crash. Pick your character right without a doubt. See that damage go up till I knock you out. You know, basic like Smash terminology in a sense. Wave dash is another like tech in Melee. You can kind of mostly see it when in mostly like Fox Falco mains, sometimes even Marth as well. I mean, wave dashing can be applied to any character in general, but from what I've seen as a part-time Smash player, which I totally should totally lock into Melee again, because after I wrote this song, not be like a poser or anything. Yeah, so like wave dash is another like mechanic in Melee itself. Then again, more of that fight or flight motif. Playing your moves right or you're gonna crash. Funny thing, so basically in the recording itself, if you watch the video of the hype video for the Melee Top 8, I mispronounced plan by accident. So I think I said plan, but I think I added an R in the pronunciation, so it's pran. So to put it in perspective, if you ever hear like anything from Volpec by featuring Joey Dosick, so in Running Away, he instead of saying believe, he says believe, and then for LAX, he says fajitas instead of fajitas in LAX. So that was a happy little accident. So I will get chastised for my pronunciation next time, but it's a funny little accident. And then pick your character right without a doubt. Honestly, that's like another ode to Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, because that's like basically the #1 influence of this song itself. Basically just, you know, giving ode to, you know, fighting games in the past in general. And then last verse, see that damage go up till I knock you out. Basically just like, you know, basic Smash lingo, basically how Smash is, you know, you see damage go up, and the higher the damage that it becomes, you're gonna fly your opponent off the stage and knocking them out, essentially. But that's the verse, so we're gonna move on to this little chorus that I kind of collabed with Sage when we were writing this together, essentially. The trophy's right there, it's calling me. Stand back and better watch my victory. It's Supernova, this is the place to be. It's boogieing on down, get them CRTs. And it repeats one more time before like the end of the video itself. So yeah, basically it's like that winner, it's like that fight or flight, win or lose type situation itself. Like basically how much it's closer for you, like, you know, to grab that dub, to be the greatest Smash player of the year at Supernova 2025. And like, you know, basically it's just like, you know, the good old saying from Unbeatable, when you lock in, you can do anything. Basically that's the first two lines of the verse, essentially. Then it's Supernova, this is the place to be. Basically, you know, this is like where the magic happens, because talk about the history of Supernova / SmashCon. A lot of big moments by like big players such as like Zane, who won Melee that year. Zane's also like a big like name in the Smash community. Also, you got people like Junebug, you also got people like Hungrybox, just to name a few. Like, we're just appreciating history in the moment right now, while we continue to make history at the very end of the day, essentially. And then, so let's boogie on down, get them CRTs. It's kind of like a little ode to New York in a sense, because Boogie on Down, I was thinking about Boogie Down Bronx, essentially, and also like the big fighting game scene in Brooklyn too, like big Third Strike fighting scene in Brooklyn. Rest in peace, Brooklyn Arcading Games, by the way. And get them CRTs, which is the title of the song, because growing up as a kid on the GameCube, playing Smash Melee for the first time, I was sitting in front of a CRT, not like our, like, you know, the modern flat screen monitors, 4K stuff and all that stuff. Because back in the day, we were one-on-one people, or playing, you know, the story mode or adventure mode in front of like an old CRT, which we consider now old, which is kind of crazy. And this is like the stuff we grew up on, and basically, you know, let's bring back the nostalgia factor of things, because it's Supernova, it's Melee. One of, like, most of us grew up on Super Smash Brothers Melee, Brawl, for the most part, or even like the N64 version of Smash, like the very first Smash Brothers that came out on the N64. Like, I literally have a Pikachu N64 literally chilling in my room right now, but we don't need to talk about that. Basically, why I called it Get Them CRTs is just because, not only because of the nostalgia factor, not only because, you know, Melee does the CRTs for the tournament itself. It's just like, you know, let's lock in. Let's one-on-one, kid. Grab the CRTs, get the GameCube out. Let's have a match. Seriously, like, let's boogie on down, like, in terms of like the final parts of Supernova. And I really enjoyed writing this song in general, because like I had a lot of creativity, a lot of influences in terms for what I wanted to do for this song. I did have a little bit of like sense of direction in a sense, so, and I hope like this like breakdown video kind of like opens your mind about like this type of music in like the fighting game communities, because yeah, I do want to do one or more of these in the future, but like, you know, once the opportunity is given, like, I'll be more than happy to do these more, and hopefully we do more of these and more of these breakdowns and stuff. I know this is like a very Genius Verified like type like video for me, but like, you know, it's something out of my comfort zone. I just wanted to like share this with you guys, since like this has been like, you know, settled down for like since August, which is like about 5 months now. So I hope you guys enjoyed when you heard my song Get Them CRTs. If you, so all the Supernova top 8 songs are also available on streaming. This will be also linked in the description below. So anywhere where you get streaming music, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, wherever you stream music, go stream our top 8 songs. And then if you like what you're seeing here, feel free to subscribe. I'm trying to post like almost like every week, almost every month at the minimum. So I'm gonna try to like be consistent with this content as much as I can. And other than that, I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for all the love and support, and make sure you grab your CRTs. Until next time, everybody.
Wow! He did that, huh? You play that? Nah, not yet. When the set's over. My dick hurts! Bobak's dick is hard!
Oh my god, we're all a little bit hard.
And